Good afternoon and welcome to the SCR webinar, Dynamic Virtual Cyber CV19 and Tech Safety for Real Estate Agents. Tracy the Safety Lady Hawkins is a former real estate agent who has taught thousands of agents across the country to live and work safely for over 25 years. Hawkins is a regular safety expert contributor for the National Association of Realtors, Realtor Magazine, and Realtor.com. Tracy the Safety Lady has taught thousands of agents to live and work safely. She has also created the country's only real estate agent safety designation, the Consumer Safety and Security Specialist, designed to teach agents to make more money working safely and protecting the consumer. She also created the only broker, manager, and owner office safety policy certification workshop with an office safety policy handbook. She is regularly quoted in Inman and has been featured in other real estate industry publications, as well as featured on the Today Show, the Boston Globe, Quicken Loans Rocket Homes, the Washington Post, CNN.com, ABCnews.com, the Kansas City Star, and ABC. She appears on television to discuss and review safety and security products and topics on CBS, NBC, and Fox News affiliates, and more. Tracy will be answering questions throughout today's webinar. All questions can be submitted through the questions section of the webinar panel. Thank you for joining us today, Tracy, and I now turn the webinar over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm in the central time zone. Good afternoon, everyone. I am so very excited to be here. I am excited for the opportunity to share this up-to-date relevant information with you. So Chelsea did a good job introducing me, so I don't think I need to go anymore. But the question is, why am I here today? The National Association of Realtors has mandated that every association and board must have some kind of safety education every year. Here I am. So I also want to applaud the South Carolina Realtors for forward thinking. I think this was scheduled even before the whole situation we're in now. So it's always amazing to me when an association or board reaches out to me in a proactive manner and says, hey, nothing's happened, but we want to protect our agents before something happens. So kudos to your Realtor Association here. I am, again, impressed, and let's go ahead and get started. I had to find a way to make safety interesting. I had to find a way to make agents actually show up for safety training. I created a designation, and as Chelsea said, it's the country's only real estate safety designation. I've had about 600 agents go through this program, and I am extremely pleased to share some of the information with you. We only have 60 minutes, and as you may have noticed, I was going to say a fast talker, but I'm not a fast talker. I talk fast. So I have a lot of information to share. I'm going to squeeze as much of it as possible into our time today. I also was aware of a situation where an agent was victimized and the family sued the real estate company. So I had to try to think of a way to help brokers, managers, and owners protect their companies, how to reduce their liability. So I created a safety training for those, for leadership. And I also wrote the only real estate safety handbook. So it's a policy, practices, and procedures handbook. So I cover it all. I am pretty sure that you all are familiar with the Beverly Carter story. It was a tragic story about a real estate agent in Arkansas who showed up to meet clients and she was murdered. This is a story that I was talking about. Her family sued her company because they didn't do what they should have done, in the family's opinion, to keep her safe. And what they said is if her company would have provided safety training, she may still be with us today. My job, my goal today is to remove the liability, and that means giving you the tools and information that you need to keep you safe. We're going to talk about agents who have been victimized. We're going to not dwell on it, but we're going to learn the lessons from those crimes. And that's what I do as a safety expert. I live and breathe real estate safety. Another situation was in Atlanta. An agent took a listing and hired a photographer to take pictures of the listing. The agent failed to tell the seller that the photographer was coming and failed to tell the photographer that the sellers would be home. She heard someone in her house. She heard them access the house, and she ran to her bedroom, closed the door, and she could hear him walking around. She grabbed her gun and she shot at him more than once, and she actually hit him. Guess what he's doing now? He's suing the real estate agent, the seller, as well as the company. My goal is to show you with communication and education, these types of crimes can be prevented. You can reduce your liability. The most recent story about a real estate agent being murdered while working happened to Monique Bao in Minnesota. That was on New Year's Eve. Same thing. She got a phone call, showed up to meet the clients at the house, and she was murdered. We're going to talk about ways to avoid these kinds of crimes, what you can do to make yourself look less like a victim. I know everyone here has seen the story, the news story about the agent in California. It was captured on video. What she did is she had the presence of mind to know to get him out in front of a camera, and he didn't get to assault her in the way it seems that he wanted to, but there was still an assault that happened, and it was awful. But again, lessons learned. I get an opportunity to write for the National Association of Realtors Realtor magazine, and I looked at her situation and I saw 7 things that she did right. 7 things that she did that allowed her to survive. And if you want to take a peek at that article to see those 7 things, I'm going to tell you where to search in a minute. Also last year, another crime that made the news, you probably saw this one. This one was in Colorado. A real estate agent was showing a client, she was upstairs in a room, and then he decides he's going to assault her. So he pulls out a knife and he had a can of bear pepper spray. She had a gun. She pulled out her gun and she began shooting at him. He took off. Another story that shows what agents can do if they are prepared. And then another story happened back in January of last year. And this agent was actually a property owner as well. He went to go evict a tenant. They ended up shooting and killing him. I tell you this because a lot of people think that the Beverly Carter story was the last major story of a real estate agent losing their life in the line of work, and that's simply not true. There are crimes that happen on a daily basis. My job is to tell you how to prevent those crimes. First question of the day. Can anyone tell me some of the risk involved in your jobs? What I'm going to do is ask a question, and if you would get to your keyboard and just type in a quick answer. If I can hear it today, that's fine. Otherwise, keep in mind that the webinar is going to be recorded for others to see in the future, and that information that you take the time to type in will be valuable as well as helpful. Now, if you can think of one risk that you face on a daily basis when you do your job, just type it into the chat section. And as you do that, I'm going to go ahead and share with you some of the risk in doing your jobs, but I'm just curious to hear what you think they are. Your job description reads that you make a living meeting complete strangers in empty houses. You make a living sitting in an empty house waiting for strangers to walk in. How does that sound? Exactly. There are risks, and I'm sure you're typing in even more risk that you face on a daily basis, but this is the major one, and this is the job description.
Hey,
I don't
Tracy, we
know.
have a couple that entered in their risks.
Okay.
We
Okay.
have social media stalkers and COVID-19 safety.
Exactly. The COVID, thank you, Chelsea. The COVID-19 is a brand new risk that you all are facing, and we're going to talk about that in a little more detail. And you know, stalkers is a big deal. I get to travel the country talking to real estate agents, and in every place that I visit, I get a stalking story or two. Whether they share it in class or come up to tell me about it, it's a big deal. So we're also going to address that. So there are so many different risks involved. Thank you for jumping in the chat. I like that. I like interactiveness. I don't know if you all know, but the U.S. Department of Labor considers real estate sales and leasings a hazardous occupation. It's right up there with security guards, with police officers, law enforcement officials. It is dangerous. And I don't have to convince you of that. I just read your job description to you. Here's another question. Get ready. Here's what I want you to do. Type in a physical description of what a criminal looks like. Type in a physical description of who you don't want to see show up. A physical characteristic or description of someone you don't want to show up to your open house, of someone you don't want to show up for an appointment to show a house. Physical description. And while I'll wait for you to do that, Chelsea will let me know when you've done that. Let me tell you some that I've heard. I have heard real estate agents say they don't want to see someone in baggy clothes. They don't want to see someone in leather motorcycle gear, tattoos, piercings. Everyone has a physical description of who they don't want to see. I've heard a man showing up is a problem, two men or more than one person. Chelsea, if there are any more, can you jump in and let me know?
Sure, we have a couple. We have, like you said, someone in a hoodie and baggy clothes, someone who is under the influence, male arrives alone, and it can also often be someone who looks like a normal person.
And that pretty much makes my point. A criminal, if you look to your left, look to your right, look in the mirror, a criminal looks just like we do. They know how to assimilate. You cannot judge a book by its cover. And so often I hear people who say, oh, I don't want to work with someone, they're seedy looking, just the things that we talked about. What I'm saying is you can't judge a book by its cover, because if you do, then that could do two things. One, it could cost you business. Number two, it could cost you your life. And then, just so people aren't distracted, let me go back to the screen while I share this information with you. If you judge a book by its cover and you're hosting an open house in an upscale listing, the late great Sam Walton pulls up in his beat up pickup truck in his overalls, and he's coming toward the front door, and you decide you're going to judge that book by its cover, guess what? It could cost you business. And then also, I love to ask this question. How did they describe Ted Bundy? They said he was a charming guy, good looking, clean cut, right? If you judge that book by its cover, it could cost you your life. So judging a book by its cover is not the answer. Like you said, they look just like you and I. What you can do, you say, what am I supposed to do? What you can do is you can embrace the gift that we're all given, a gift that we're all born with. I used to watch Oprah on a regular basis, and she had an author on a regular basis. His name is Gavin DeBecker. He wrote this book, The Gift of Fear. Here's what I want you to do. Tell me what you think the gift of fear is. Just in the chat section, drop down really quickly. Give me an answer of what you think the fear signals that every single one of us possesses, because we all have a mechanism that could stop us from being victimized in any circumstance. It could 100% stop us from being victimized. We just need to respect it. Chelsea, did anyone answer yet?
We have quite a few. We have the gut feeling, the go with your feeling, uneasiness, which goes with the gut, your intuition, and that's most of the ones that came in.
Okay, gut feeling, intuition, sixth sense, whatever you want to call it, instinct, that's what we have. Every animal in nature is born with a built-in survival mechanism. Humans are the only ones who ignore it. And we ignore it for a number of reasons, because we don't want to be rude, we don't want to look silly, so we ignore that voice, whether it's a feeling in the pit of your stomach, your heart's beating fast, the hairs are standing up on your arms or the back of your necks. Our bodies are telling us there is danger. We need to start respecting it. We need to start listening to it. If you don't hear anything else I say today, hear this. Listen to your bodies. Trust your instinct. If it's telling you that there's danger, don't try to use reason. Don't try to think your way out of it. I had a veteran agent, a couple of veteran agents over 20 years in the business. One was excited. She was going to show doctors houses that afternoon, mansions, upscale part of town. She was excited. She told the agent on board duty, let me know when my client gets here. So the agent on board duty sees a guy walking up. He has on a lab coat, and so she figured this is a client. And he asked for the agent. She went back. She said, I've got a bad feeling. She said, how well do you know this guy? She said, I don't really know him. She said, can you take your time? Will you please reschedule this? Take your time, get to know him better before you show him. The agent said, oh, you're so silly. She went to go and show the doctor properties mansions that afternoon. She came back to the office and she got a phone call, and it was the doctor. She said, wait a minute. this doesn't make sense. You're asking me questions, you're talking to me as if we have never met. And, I spent the whole afternoon with you. You showed up for the meeting, you had on your lab coat, I saw your name, what are you talking about? He said, what are you talking about? 2 weeks ago, someone broke into my office and stole my lab coat. It wasn't me. At that time, she went back to the other agent. She said, what did I miss? The other agent said at the time, she said, I couldn't really put my finger on it. My gut told me something was wrong. She said, but after I had time to think about it, then I realized he had on his lab coat. How many times have you seen a doctor in the grocery store with a lab coat on? Doesn't happen. How many times have you seen a doctor at the gas pump pumping gas with his lab coat on? It doesn't happen. And she said the final hint was he put his hand on the desk to ask for you. His fingernails were filthy. How many times have you seen a doctor with filthy fingernails? Doesn't happen. So her gut told her something was wrong before her brain could register what it was. Listen to your gut and worry about the reason later. The gut is hardly ever wrong. And then if you have to apologize or give an explanation later, so it goes. The other agent failed to pick up on the signals because she was excited. She was thinking about making that sale, getting that commission. Nothing wrong with that, but your gut is hardly ever wrong. And again, this book should be required reading. What you need to do is you need to create a safety plan. You need to know what you're going to do in any given situation before something happens. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Everyone, I'm sure, is familiar with the red file. If you heard of the red file as a safety plan, just type yes in the chat. Red file, red file, red file. It needs to go away. Again, everywhere I go across the country, agents are familiar with the red file. And what the red file is, it's a distress signal. So the way it works is if you're out and about and you feel uncomfortable, you call your office and then you ask for the red file. Then the person on the other end will know you're in a dangerous situation and they will immediately get help to you. Let me share a quick story with you, and then maybe you'll understand my feelings about this red file. Here in Missouri, I want to say about 6 or 7 years ago, a real estate agent had a new client. She was going to show him 3 properties. So she didn't know who he was, but she did what we all, I think I mentioned I'm a former real estate agent, got a twin sister who is an agent. She did what we all have done. She went to go show this client houses. In the first house, he raped her. He said, we're going to the next house and we're going to do it again there. She said, just a minute, I need to call my office. So she called, to check on the listing. So she calls her office. Someone answered the phone. She said, this is so-and-so real estate agent. She said, I need the red file. And then the person on the other end said, what are you talking about? She went ahead, got in the car, went to the other property, and just coincidentally, another agent showed up to show the property. And she took off. She took off, got in her car and left, leaving that agent, of course, with a rapist. Fortunately, nothing happened. But that story shows you why the red file is a no-go for me. If everyone in the office on the team is not on board, then it means nothing. But even more importantly, again, everywhere I go, everyone's heard of this red file. So if you all have heard of the red file, do you think criminals have as well? Of course they have. So if they have plans to assault you and then they see that you're calling for help, it may even aggravate the assault, escalate the assault. So no to red files, and I'm going to talk to you about ways to work around that. I had a broker manager say, Tracy, don't waste your time telling agents to have a buddy with them when they are showing. They're not going to do it. If I ask you, who do you think who would willingly go along with you to show property? Number one question I get, the number one answer I get is a new agent. New agents are willing to learn. They want to learn on the job. They will tag along. They will follow you. Just doing that is, first of all, not only a nice thing to do to help them grow their business, but secondly, there is truly safety in numbers. Criminals want the easy victim, someone who's isolated, alone, and there's no witnesses behind. If you have someone with you, just having a buddy with you can reduce the odds of you being victimized. Technology is a game changer these days. It levels the playing field. We're going to talk about ways to use technology, but you are already finding out ways to use technology. Back in the olden days, we used to have what we called CETO, come into the office. We would have agents bring your new clients into the office. That way you can get the information from them, make sure they're qualified before you waste a lot of time showing them properties that they may not even be able to afford to buy. But most importantly, it increases witness potential. Criminals are cowards. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be identified. So in the olden days, again, have them come into the office. And that's still the gold standard. Have them come into the office, get the information. Your receptionist, someone in your office will see them. I started saying something new and different. I started saying meet in a populated place, meet somewhere in a public place. And you'll hear a lot of people say that. Go to a coffee shop, go just somewhere where there's a lot of traffic. So it increases the witness potential. I need to stop you there. I need to say, that's not going to work. If you meet in a crowded coffee shop and they don't know you there, that's no good because no one's paying attention to you. No one's going to be able to identify that maybe would be criminal. I say go somewhere where you are known. That could be, it could be your neighborhood coffee shop, the coffee shop in the neighborhood of your office, somewhere where they know you. So if you are missing and law enforcement officials are looking for you, they can say, yes, I saw them. And they can give a description who you're with. They're paying attention. So you must go somewhere where you are known. Even better than that, go to an affiliate's office. I guarantee you, your title company, your lender, your mortgage company will allow you to use a conference room if it's more convenient, just to be able to, of course, again, increase the witness potential. If you need to make a copy of ID or anything, you can do so. I mentioned I have a sister who's a real estate agent, and she said, stop. She said, meeting in the office is still the most professional way to do it. She said, that's what I do. And meeting in a coffee shop or somewhere else is not professional. There are virtual companies nowadays where there are no offices. And there are agents who work for traditional companies who work virtually, who don't see offices. So of course, your office is the ideal, but if it's not possible, a populated place where you are known is what is recommended. There are forms. The National Association of Realtors provides itinerary forms. So I wrote an article a few years back for the National Association of Realtors, and you can go to that article and find a link to all of those forms. If you go to nar.realtor, search my name, you'll see that article. Click on each form there and start utilizing that in your practice. The client information form, which allows you to get the information you need from them and attach a picture. But more importantly, is the agent information form. I ask agents, if you were to have a medical emergency in your office this afternoon, you just fell on the floor, will your broker or manager know what may be wrong if you have any allergies, health situations, diabetes, or anything that they need to be aware of? If the answer is no, you need to complete the agent information form. Do they know who to call in those emergency situations? That information is on the form as well as vehicle information, your make and model of your car, license plate number. That way, if you're missing or something's wrong, they can go to your file, pull up your information, they know exactly what they're dealing with. And that form needs to be updated every 6 months. So definitely grab that form from the website. I don't have to tell you all to dress professionally. Agents are some of the best dressed people I get to see, but I have to tell you to dress safely. That means leave your expensive jewelry at home. Men and women, watches, expensive watches. I had a real estate agent who had more jewelry on, more diamonds that I've seen in one place in my entire life. You need to make sure that you keep that for special occasions. I had a kindergarten teacher tell me she just got her license and we were doing new agent training. And she said, I was in the classroom all the time and I couldn't wear my heels. I'm so happy I get to wear my high heel shoes and my nice jewelry now. And I had to tell her, no, you don't. If you all remember the Beverly Carter story, there was an interview when they talked to the guy, the perpetrator, the murderer, and they said, how did you pick her? Why did you pick her? He said she was a real estate agent, a rich real estate agent who worked alone. You all already have a bullseye on you. Reduce the liability. Don't wear your expensive jewelry. Do not take your electronics, these cell phones that we use, these smartphones, $500, $600, $1,000 and more. Laptops, your tablets that you all carry with you. Ladies, designer handbags, expensive. Those are all making you more of a target. So leave valuables at home. Dress professionally, but leave valuables at home. And then also, high heel shoes. They look good on you, but they're awfully hard to run in. So it's sad that we have to be talking about shoes. We're talking about business, but imagine being in a house with a perpetrator, someone who makes you uncomfortable and you need to get away in a hurry and you have on high heels. Kind of dangerous. Although I will say I was in Knoxville last year teaching a class and I had an agent, she took off her heel, her stiletto, she held it up. She said, "This high heel is my weapon. If you're able to use it as a weapon, go for it. But ladies, for the most of us, I'm saying we can't run in high heel shoes. Getting there, that's not even an issue nowadays. Having a client in your car, not an issue. When we get through all of this, that's also something that I feel that should not even be done. If you don't know who they are, this is the same thing as picking up a hitchhiker and letting them in your car. Clients can follow behind or meet you at a property. That's better for you and them. You can use a variety of reasons. You can say my car is junky, or my insurance agent would not appreciate me having non-family members in the car, whatever it takes to keep you safe. There are 7 names on the screen, and I'm guessing that none of you all can answer the question of who these guys are. Most people don't because they don't always make the headlines. So let me share with you. David Abbasi was a real estate agent in Atlanta. During Safety Month of 2016, he was killed while working. Ryan Vega is a real estate agent, also Safety Month, same year. He was stabbed in the neck while working in Vegas. Sidney Cranston Jr.'s body was found after 18 months being missing. He showed up to meet clients that he had never met before. Lane Gamble is a real estate agent in North Carolina who was sitting in front of a property waiting for clients when someone approached with a gun and attempted to rob him. Let's see. The unnamed agent in Washington was physically assaulted. No, he was actually murdered. That's a news story. He was actually murdered while working. Frank Wyman, a broker owner in Missouri, a small town in Missouri, was in his office when someone came in either with a gas can or a water jug, and they ended up robbing him not only at gunpoint, but at machete point. David Stokey is the real estate agent, the investor who I told you, property manager, who was killed in January of last year. There's something interesting about this list, and I know you've already noticed it. This list is made up of all men. A lot of times when I say I'm talking about safety, I get the guys who think, this is, and I've heard it, this is for the women and we're only here because we have to be, or because it's a continuing ed class and it's renewal time. Male agents as well as female agents can be victimized. Everyone needs to be alert and aware. So to the male agents on the phone, can you just type in the chat box, and this is for later review, just say a male here so that way I can get an idea of how many male agents took the time to participate in safety training. So just write the word male in the chat box. That way, when we're looking at this later, we can see how many men showed up for training today. Okay. Uh-oh, I'm not moving here. Huh. Okay, just a second. I'm having a technical issue. My slides are not advancing, and I'm a talker, and I'm not used to not talking. Huh. Not sure what's going on. Okay, here we are. Okay, I wrote an article for the National Association of Realtors, Realtor magazine, called 4 Ways Male Agents Put Themselves in Danger. That article was the most read story of the year back in 2017. Go to nar.realtor, search my name, find that article, and share it with whoever you think needs to hear it. A lot of these crimes, the first thing people wonder is, did the perpetrator have a mental illness? What do we do if we have clients who have mental illness issues that may pose a danger to us? I don't have time to go into deep detail. However, again, I wrote the article. Go to nar.realtor, search for that article. It talks about signals to look for and ways to work with those who have mental illness, work with them in a respectful yet safe manner. And that's often a topic that no one talks about. If you don't hear anything else, I don't think I even have to tell you that there is no such thing these days as privacy. Anything you do online is going to be shown, it's going to be public, no matter what your privacy settings are. Agents, this day and age, you are all using your ability to work virtually more and more. You're doing virtual showings, you're doing virtual open houses, virtual videos where you're able to show clients the properties without being on sites. You need to keep in mind what is being shown in those videos. I say you need to learn to think like a criminal, and that's not how we all think. We naturally don't do that. But in order to be safe, sometimes you have to step outside of yourself and think like a criminal. Virtual videos allow criminals to sit in the comfort of their homes and case properties for possible burglaries later on. So when you're taking virtual pictures and videos, be careful what is being shown in the background. Be careful what is being shown in the video. You don't want to show gun collections, jewelry, expensive art collections. You don't want to show anything of value. So many houses have media rooms with thousands and thousands of dollars of electronics. You want to be very careful what you show. You should really be focusing on the house, the rooms, the space in the house. I remember just recently looking at a virtual video, and the agent was showing artwork, pretty artwork in the media room, all the electronics. And I'm just looking, thinking, what about the house? Step back, focus on the house. So be careful what you show. You don't want to make your clients a victim. You all are going live more often. And that's our reality. That's what people are doing now. I've had people say, well, just tell agents, instead of going live, just have them tape whatever it is and then post it later. Everyone now, I know you all are, I know I am, we're all looking at all of these videos, the tutorials, the webinars, how to increase their social media engagement. So you're thinking, in order to get more likes, to get more views, and to play right with the Facebook algorithm, you need to go live, and you get more views that way. So sometimes you need to go live. And then that's some of the novelty of what we're doing, going live. If you decide to go live, you need to keep in mind certain safety tips. If you're going live, you are telling people not only where you are, but where you aren't. Again, we already talked about stalking being a big deal. So you're telling people, here's where I am today. I'm in an open house for however many hours. Come find me. So there is a way to go live and to still be careful. You don't have to necessarily make it about you. Go live, here's an open house of one of my listings. It doesn't have to be about you. Show the property. The maybe would-be perpetrator doesn't know who's there. Are you there, or someone else taping it? Doesn't need to be a big deal. By telling them where you are not could open you up to being victimized. Your house could be burglarized because they're thinking, well, she's over here at least for a couple of hours, or who knows how long she's going to be live. I've got time to go to her or his house and see what's there. So you're thinking, nobody can find my house. That's not an issue. Stay tuned, because I'm going to tell you how very wrong that sentiment is, frighteningly so, but anyone can tell you where you are. So when you're going live, keep in mind you must have your home secure. If anyone's there, just let them know. Make sure the doors are locked. Don't answer the door. Just be prepared. And again, that's a horrible way to have to think, but that's our reality. Social engineering is alive and well on Facebook. We're on Facebook because we want to be social, and especially during these times, we're cooped up in our homes, and we don't really have anyone outside of who's in our house to talk to. And you all are agents, you're salespeople, so you're. And I don't want to say we're always extroverts, but being social helps you mentally, and it helps you build your business. Let me warn you, there are a few things that I've seen on Facebook that are a concern. You could be providing criminals information on how to access your password, how to access your bank accounts, your social media accounts. You're giving them the answer to your password security questions. You all have seen the post, show your high school picture, show your graduation picture, your senior picture, so we can honor the class of 2020. When you post your senior picture, you're posting it. They get to see you graduated from high school, or where you went to high school. I've seen the post that says, show us your first car. This is fun. Everyone's showing a picture of your first car. It's fun to see what everyone drove. And now the latest one that I've seen is, be proud, show your real age. Tell your real age. Show us a picture of you and tell us your real age. You're giving criminals ammunition to hack your account. Think about the security questions. Where did you go to high school? What was your first car? and then even more information is signing in with your date of birth when you're asking questions, trying to figure out who you are and what your password may be. Be careful on social media. I don't know how many of you all know that there is such a thing as cyber insurance. I had no clue. Cyber insurance is more important even these days when there are so many cyber crimes that we're going to touch upon. There are people who make it a living to get into your computer, not only your work computer, but even your home computer, your laptop, and they are looking for information. I don't have to talk to you about wire fraud being a big deal because you all live it every single day. You need to be able to protect your clients from wire fraud. But what happens if your clients become victimized? How do you get out of that situation? And this is probably more so for the owners, the company owners, because there have been stories of wire fraud where the victim sues the real estate agent, the company owner, the title company, mortgage company, everybody involved, or the title company. So you need to make sure you protect yourself. And you're thinking, how can this happen to me? Social media provides almost all of the information criminals need in order to hack your account, to do a password retrieval or reset on your bank accounts. The information is there. Wire fraud instructions, you all know high profile real estate agent Barbara Cochran. She was the latest high profile victim that this happened to, and she came forward so we can learn the lesson. I think it was what, $400,000 that she lost because someone said, hey, Barbara, you need to pay this bill, without thinking she paid the $400,000 bill, and later on realized that it was not real. Every single one of us has the power to stop a cyber crime. Every single cyber crime requires one thing, and that's for us to do something. Whether it's click on a link, respond to a question, post something, we all control whether or not we are victimized. Every office, every company should have some kind of training on what a fraudulent email looks like. The phishing emails are getting more and more complicated. Has anyone here ever received a phishing email? You just type in yes, received one, so that we will know, because I'm guessing that a majority of you all have received a phishing email. I have talked to cyber experts who say, I get them all the time and I have to look twice, and they've even been victimized. The letters are getting better. It used to be the emails were written in poor grammar and you would be able to know that, this is suspicious. Now they're getting better written. So don't click on links, don't respond to emails, and don't open attachments. Another thing that we all do is you want the easy email accounts. You have the Yahoo and the Gmail accounts. Cyber experts say that those are easily hacked. What you should do is you should be using your company's domain in your email address. So if your real estate company has a domain name, you should be using that. If you have your own real estate company, set up your own domain. But criminals, they get excited when they see a Yahoo or a Gmail account because those are easier to hack. Okay, let's move into Zoom bombing. This is a story that's been on the news. Everyone's seen it, and a lot of us are using Zoom nowadays, and in addition to other online platforms. But Zoom is by far the leader of the bunch, and they are also the ones plagued with the most problems. There are things you can do to prevent your meetings, your events from being Zoom bombed, is what they call it. Number one, you need to set it up to disable participants from sharing your audio and your video. There's no need for them to do that anyway. If you want to record it, you can share it later. Do not allow participants to enter the meeting late. They can come in randomly and then start Zoom bombing, which is basically saying inappropriate things, racial, sexual things that are good for no one. So do not allow them to come in late, and then you need to warn them up front, late arrivals will not be permitted. This is especially good if it's a public event. And you need to have a separate password. I used to be the person who would roll my eyes when there was a password to get into an event, but now I understand the value of it. So have a password. You can even allow Zoom to randomly assign a password. Zoom is also in trouble because of Zoom data breaches. This one isn't their fault. This one is the user's fault. There are 500,000 Zoom accounts that have been breached. And again, not Zoom's problem. Those 500 Zoom accounts are out on the dark web, and they are getting information, email address. There are ways to stop the information they're getting. They're getting email addresses, personal meeting IDs. If you use the same one over and over again, there's a problem. They're getting your 6-digit PINs. They're credential stuffings, which means they're looking at your emails, they're getting information that they can use to hack you later. They're trying their luck on Zoom accounts. They're trying to log in with this information just to see if they get lucky. There are two things that you can do to stop it. First, use a unique password for every site you visit. And we all say that's too hard. Who's going to remember that? I have a same basic password, but I use different numbers and letters to switch it up, but the same basic password that I know I'm going to use, but each one has a different suffix or prefix. So it needs to be different for every website. You need to check your email to see if your email address has been hacked in a previous data breach. That website, haveibeenpawned.com, is eye-opening. I typed my email address in there and I saw a list of 11 websites that I have visited, been a participant in, that have been breached. The data has been breached, which means my information is out there somewhere. That includes sites that everyone visits. Poshmark is a familiar selling site, and so many shopping sites that you visit, some of them you would be surprised to know. So type your email address in there, and just to see if it was realistic, I typed another less known or less used email address. It was safe, and I typed a few others in just to see if my family members' email addresses had been compromised. They have not. A lot of times those stories are on the news, and they'll say this company had one of them, Canva, that so many people use, and I get the warning, change your password. If they're telling you to change your password because they've been hacked, you need to change your password. So many of us like technology. We have the digital assistants, the smart home hubs. You can see the Nest as well as Alexa. Those can be a problem for you. They're voice activated. Have you ever been in a room and in a conversation when you said something, then all of a sudden either my smartphone comes on and says listening. It's like, wait a minute, why are you listening? Same thing with these. If you say something that sounds close enough to the word that activates them, they're on, they're listening. If you know anything about Alexa, you will know that they record those conversations. And of course, you have an option to stop them, and I'll tell you how to do that, but they're listening. You can also digitally or vocally call someone. So if you're saying the wrong thing, let's say you're in your office and you have your Alexa or your digital assistant there, and you say a client's name. What if it hears call client and it's dialing your client, but you're talking about them having conversations about their file? You need to be extremely careful. And if you have an Amazon show, that means there's a camera involved. And if someone hacks it, they can also have access to your camera. So I had a technology guy say the best piece of advice when you have your digital assistant in the room, when you're having personal, confidential conversation, unplug it. Just turn it off, unplug, well, better yet, unplug it. He didn't say turn it off, he said unplug it. So that goes for smartphones. Again, mine, sometimes it'll hear me say something and it's thinking that it wants me to find something to search. No, you need to make sure you disallow the microphones or cameras on your devices. I've looked down and I've seen the little camera icon. Even when I didn't trigger the camera, I'm going to tell you why that's there. You can delete Alexa. You can go to your settings and you can delete the recordings that are there because they do record you. You can stop Amazon employees from listening to your conversations. What they do is they listen to the recorded conversations to improve your experience. That's how selections pop up that are related to conversations you have had. How many of us have been talking and then all of a sudden Facebook is showing us ads of things that we've talked about? They're listening. They have to know that you're doing that and you're saying that's wrong, that's unfair. I'm going to tell you how you've given them permission to do so. I love Google. I love Google. I love everything about Google and Chrome. They make my life so much easier, but you have to know that Google knows everything. They know everything that goes on. I tell agents to search themselves on a regular basis. You need to know what is out there in the world about you, so that way you can prepare yourself and protect yourself accordingly. Google your name every 6 months or so. If you are like me and you're too busy, and I hate to say lazy, but if you are somewhat lazy, then you don't have time to do that. Set up a Google alert with your name. That way, if anything is ever published about you, you're going to know. And I say that my phone turns on and Google is asking me, how can they help me? Point made. But you need to know what's out there about you. If anything shows up about you and your name, you're going to get what's called a Google alert. That alert is going to have a link to whatever is out there about you. It could be a link to a video, a news story, a social media post, whatever's out there. So you need to be aware of what's out there about you. Google has an incognito feature. And this is great if you have to use someone else's computer. If you're in a hotel, you use that computer, or even on your own computer when you don't want Google suggesting things that you've talked about. So go into incognito mode and search for whatever you need to search. Look up websites from there. That way your footprints are not behind for someone to come and search. YouTube is popular now. Everyone's making videos and sharing videos. YouTube has an incognito mode. If you're on YouTube and you type in a search topic, you get a list of suggestions on the right side of the screen. That's based on your previous searches. If you don't want YouTube or whoever to know what you search, go into incognito mode. I have to say that I am proud of the National Association of Realtors for coming out with a coronavirus guide for realtors. They did this early, they did it quickly. They were right on top of it. And that guide is a resource that you need to use in order to work with your clients in a safe manner. I'm looking at the clock and I'm going to start talking just a little faster, if I can possibly go any faster, to talk about ways that you can be safe with corona in the coronavirus environment. How many of you all have decided that you're just not going to do any showings at all? Just in the chat section, just say no showings or still showing, just so we can get an idea of those of you here who are still working in this environment. The National Association of Realtors reminds you all that you cannot discriminate on anyone based on their ethnicity or country of origin. Just don't do it. And there are a couple of things that you need to know you're within your legal rights to do. Agents, you have the right to refuse to drive clients, even though you shouldn't be. But if you decide that that's what you're going to do, you have a right to ask if anyone has had symptoms of the coronavirus, if they have been diagnosed with the coronavirus, or even if they have traveled abroad. You have a right. And you need to know that the sellers have a right to ask that of you, as well as anyone who is going to be showing their property. If you have that as a guideline or policy, it needs to be across the board. You need to ask every single client, not just some, every single one. That keeps you out of trouble. Right now, most agents cannot do open houses. Most cities, states, governments will not allow open houses. However, I keep hearing from agents who say, we've been able to do them, we can do them. If you have to do them in a virtual manner. Again, there's so many different cameras, so many software programs out there that allow you to do an open house. If you are using one that you love, type it in the chat section if you would not mind. I know Matterport's out there, and I know there are other ones. If you have one that you like and that's been very easy to use, type it in so agents who review this later can see the resource. Otherwise, your cell phone works just as well. Just clean the lens. I always tell agents to clean the lens before you do so, and just walk through the house in a conversational manner. Just show the house. You don't have to go into deep detail. Just show the room, show the spaces. I don't even think I have to address handshaking. None of us are shaking hands nowadays. We're all using hand sanitizer. You should have it with you. The hand wipes or the sanitizer gel. And then again, we've already talked about screening. Make sure you are screening your clients, and electronic transactions are the reality now. There are closings that are done virtually in the parking lots where you don't have to come in contact with anyone. You can do it electronically. My sister, before this coronavirus situation happened, she closed $1 million property without even meeting the clients face to face. She did a virtual tour. She utilized technology. So there are ways you can work. It can be done. And I'm hearing so many success stories of agents who are doing this. Let's talk quickly here about ways you add value to the relationship with the consumer that will help you be more profitable and be more productive. Seller listing safety plan. When you go on a listing appointment, most agents are saying the same thing. You're all saying the same thing. Here's the CMA, here's how much money you can make, here's how I'll market your property. I'm telling you to take a different approach. Have a seller listing safety plan. When you walk through, I'm going to provide you with a PDF, a takeaway of a security checklist. You walk through, you're talking to the sellers about ways to make their house safe while their house is on the market. You're talking to them about getting rid of personal photos, putting jewelry away and getting it out of medicine boxes, prescription medications out of medicine cabinets, mail, stacks of mail, not just aesthetically, is it too much clutter, but they can have bank statements, financial statements there, like sliding landscaping. You're talking to them about who can show, who should be allowed to show. You're giving them a lot of information to keep their house, their property, as well as their loved ones safe while their house is on the market. No other agents really talking about that. You're also going to be able to get that checklist if you go to the Realtor Magazine website, search my name, find the article. And then let's talk quickly about this so that I can make sure I wrap up in time to leave time for questions. If you have questions now, please write them down so I can make sure I get to them, because I talk a lot and I have some more information to cover. We have 10 minutes to go. I'm going to wrap up as quickly, but if you have questions that need to be answered, Chelsea will let me know. Real estate agents, be careful the pictures that you use. They can make you a target. There are some inappropriate websites out there. This one was a hot real estate agent Google Plus page. No. I've seen this real estate agent who had her bikini picture on a billboard. She was pleased because it got more traffic. Be careful the message you're sending. Male agents do it too. Be careful. This is how people find you. This is what they think about you, how they know about you. You need a professional headshot and a professional image. So be careful. This is probably one of the most popular things that I talk about. Why being nice to FSBOs are good for could be good for business. FSBOs would be great opportunities for you to convert them to listings, but FSBOs don't want to talk to you. They don't necessarily like or respect real estate agents. How about being a good neighbor? I created 13 safety tips for you to share with FSBOs. Staple your business card on it, share this with FSBOs, and it gives them an opportunity to see some of the things they don't even think about that may be dangerous as they open their house to strangers and allow people to walk through their house with their families, with their valuables that they don't think to put away. 13 items, and by the time they get to the bottom of the list and they think, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This is dangerous. I never thought about this. They're going to appreciate you. And then the business card to staple to this form, I guarantee you will rise to the top of the list when it's time to list their house. I wrote an article about it in Realtor Magazine. Again, you can find the article and find out how to use that form. And again, that form is available. You can even go to my website, and I'll give you that at the end, and you can use that immediately. There's a privacy.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. The first one is, if your email has been hacked, what is your advice? What should they do?
If it has been hacked?
Correct.
Right. First and foremost, change the password. That's the number one thing. And a lot of times people don't realize if their email has been hacked. And if it has been hacked, if you go to your settings, you can look at the email settings, look at the forwarding option, and that's typically the first thing someone's going to do if they hack your email. They will forward your emails to their emails. So you need to go and look to see whether or not they've done that, because otherwise your contact list is going to continue to get emails. Secondly, you need to tell everybody in your contact list that your email has been hacked and to not open any emails or do not respond to any emails that are coming from you. Okay, you had another question?
We have one more question that asks, how do you go into incognito mode on Google?
On your Google account, if you go to the top right, and I'm trying to think if it's a bar, go to the top right, click on that, and you're going to see an option, or it may be on Chrome or Google. Look on the top right, a drop-down box, and it's going to simply say incognito mode. I want to say it's the second or third option down. You click on that, and then you get a new screen, and it's going to be a black screen. So you can tell that it's different than your regular Google account. That's how you'll know that you're in incognito mode. Okay, were there any others?
Those were the only two questions.
Okay, let me zip through this so we can wrap up probably right on the nose. So it's good that we're getting questions answered. First and foremost, Facebook privacy is a myth. No such thing as privacy. We've seen too many times those screenshots of now deleted posts. That's the answer right there. No such thing as privacy. However, I do need to tell you, if you're on Facebook, if you are on your personal page and you're talking about your real estate business, your listings, and any business related topics, you may go to log in one day and Facebook will close you down. Facebook is saying all business needs to be on a business page. You can't talk personal. You can't talk business on a personal page. On your business page, you can go on your business page. You can talk about open houses. You can talk about your business. Still follow the same disclosures that you have to follow for an advertisement, because it's considered an advertisement. If you're talking about an open house, you need to still be extremely careful, because you're telling people again where you are and where you aren't. So don't make it about you. Say open house 123 Main Street, come look at the property. Don't say come see me, or I'm baking cookies, come say hi. just say that you're hosting an open house, make it about the house. Safety in numbers have, I guarantee you, your mortgage company, title company, insurance company will do backflips to host an open house with you. There truly is safety in numbers. You're looking at my Facebook page. If you wouldn't mind later on dropping in, letting me know what you thought about the class on my page, that would be ideal. But basically, business on your business pages. I don't have to tell you things to not say on social media. Don't talk about personal things that you don't want the world to know about. Vacation, wait till you get home. And we talk about work schedule. Again, that's when you're saying you have an open house, then you're letting people know exactly where you're going to be and where you are not. For your sellers, have a conversation with your sellers. And this is on that checklist, that home security checklist to talk about with sellers. They need to keep personal information off of their page because it could hurt negotiations. If they're talking about, hey, we got our basement fixed, boy, either house is on the market, they say, boy, you know, we're not wading in water up to our knees in our basement anymore, got it fixed. They could hurt your negotiation. So tell them to be very careful what they're talking about when their house is on the market. I use online research to find out what's out there, to what's out there about you. This is the tip of the iceberg of the websites that are out there whose business it is to compile information about you and to make it easy for people to find you. This is just one of them. Spokeo, you can do a lot for free, find information for free, or you can subscribe to violate people's privacies. I'm telling you, these are resources that are out there. When I type in my home address, it shows the makeup of my neighborhood, it shows my house, even gives a map to where I live. This is my first house, my childhood home, my first house that I purchased, an apartment. This information is out there about you too. So you're saying people can't find me, they don't know where I am. They can find you. This costs absolutely nothing. I type in my name, I see not only all of the other Tracy Hawkins, they have my age on there. Too much information. They talk about who lives in my house, my neighbors. All of this information is available for free. So I'm telling you, the information is out there. Google yourself, set up a Google alert so that you know what's out there. Typically, I would ask, how can you help your clients get in front of a Craigslist fraud? You know, you can't stop them. Anyone can they can jack a listing and create a fraudulent listing right now, but you can be on the good side of your sellers by setting up a Google alert with all of your listing addresses. And if any of them pop up as a house on the market on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, anywhere, you're going to get a Google alert with an email so you can get in front of it immediately. Another thing you can do is advise your clients to put a sign in the window, say not for rent. That way, if someone's driving by before they wire their money to the criminals, they'll know that this house is not for rent. So that's a simple way to do that. I am going to move quickly through this. Geotagging occurs when you take a picture and your location is enabled on your phone. Anyone on social media can look at that picture and tell exactly where it was taken. So disable your location before you take the pictures, upload your pictures, turn it back on. Wire fraud, I don't think we need to cover that too much. However, here's a great resource. I did an interview with the Boston Globe and a lot of other safety experts, a lot of experts did as well. If you Google Boston Globe, my name, you can pull up that article and look at all of the different frauds and real estate transactions, get some advice and good tools to use. We're going to wind up with this. Safety apps. I finally found an app that I like, and they didn't find me. Usually apps find me and they say, Tracy, talk about us. I found one that I liked. And the reason I like this Agent Safe Walk is because it has a criteria. Any app, if you have an app now, it needs to have a GPS as well as a live component. So if you're in danger, you push a button, your GPS location will be broadcast. People will know where you are. With this one, a video shows up. So you're looking at a video. The monitor is looking at you. They can see you. They can see what's going on, and they can see your location. Not only that, but your health information is there, so they know if you have any medical issues that need attention, and they're looking at you, they're talking to you. So you can tell your client, you know, hey, our office has a safety policy. Say hi to Susie, she's our safety monitor for the day. They know that you're on camera. And I had a different perspective. I had an actual agent say that he will not show female clients alone because he was afraid that they could scream harassment and he would immediately be in trouble and out of business. This is something that will help keep you safe as well as prevent that kind of issue. These are the things you need to be careful when you're looking for smartphone apps. Be careful of the permission that you give. So often we get the security updates and we ignore them because it's going to slow us down. take the time to upload the security updates, because that's where they put any patches that will address any known security issues. So take your time to update those. If you get the free apps, free is not free. You're giving them permission to access your camera, your microphone, and your contact list. So consider actually paying for the apps that you really like, so that you're not giving away your freedom. Oh gosh, okay, we're almost out of time. Let me wind up here. Smart home safety and liability. All I have to do is tell you cameras. Assume there is a camera everywhere, from the front porch when you're walking throughout the house. If you're talking negotiations, the homeowners can hear it, and that's going to hurt you with your negotiations. Be a resource for buyers. There are so many different websites that you can point buyers to. Number one would be the the crime prevention department at the police department. They can talk to them about crimes. Again, you can go to my website or on Facebook, request this information, how to protect your phone from coronavirus without damaging or destroying it. I'm happy to send that to you. You know, to hack proof your phone is simply assigning a password. Find Your Device works on iPhones. Google has that. So anywhere you've been, it traces it. So again, the options for the safety products are right there. That's something that I am happy to share with you. If you go to my Facebook page in the comment section under this event, just say, hey, Tracy, give me that list, the FISBO list, give me whatever information that you need from me, and I'm happy to follow up with it. Again, thank you so much to the South Carolina Association for taking the time to look out for your agent's safety. I know they appreciate it, and I appreciate being here. Chelsea, any other questions?
We have no more questions at this time.
Wonderful. Okay, again, people reach out to me, agents. I really would like to hear from you. I'm happy to follow up with handouts and information, answer questions that I didn't get to answer today. I want to thank you all so very much, and everyone be safe.